the director.
Yeah.
I love how Shannon gets like the awesome headphones.
Yeah, you get the in-ears, right? We got the big, bulky
my
ones.
head's not already big enough.
Yeah. I said the same thing. I was like, "Hey, where your headphones?" He's like, "I'm gonna use my in-ears."
You're cool. Yeah.
You just got to change it up,
I love how he gives us 2 motorcycle helmets.
All right, we're safe now. We're totally safe.
Hey, but as long as we could all hear,
That's right.
that's the goal.
You just hear better.
I don't hear better. I just look better.
I freaking knew it, man.
See, that's what I would say. That's what I'm saying. He knows it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Winners Podcast. My name is Shannon, and I'm joined here by my lovely co-host, Zack Cameron.
Lovely. I love that. Thank you.
Yes. Today, we have a very special guest, a longtime client, friend, real estate extraordinaire, broker, Steven Leplante.
Oh, wait. Do I clap for myself? Or no?
Yeah, of
No?
course. Of course.
Absolutely.
Steve, thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, of course.
Like I said before, we're just going to have a fun conversation about you
Oh, boy.
and your business.
All you.
No, really, what the goal of the podcast is there's a lot of people that are striving to be entrepreneurs, real estate agents, you name it. And a lot of times people are asking questions, or how do I do this? Or, what's a key to success? And there's stuff out there, but why not add another element, especially from people from Western Mass? I feel like our area, Western Mass, is very different. Like when people say Massachusetts, they're like, "Oh, Boston?" It's like, no.
No, we're 2 hours away.
Yeah.
And we're always 10 years behind everything, too. I feel like our area, we're always 10 years behind everything. So definitely.
You travel, you go like to California. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to like any of those. Nowadays, you see people selling all types of seminars. It was like, oh, do this and you'll extend your revenue, 10x.
Right.
But that stuff, I don't feel like it works in this area. Like some of it, can.
So, in our industry, there's tons of training offerings and like things that you're saying. Coaching's a big thing in our industry. So, and I think a lot of the things that you get at those higher levels are just sort of too broad. You know what I mean? They're trying to appeal to as many people to sell as many of whatever they have as possible, and it doesn't always resonate. It doesn't always resonate with the audience.
Yeah, I saw one. There was I don't think it's Tom Ferry, but it might be Tom Ferry. He's the first one that comes to mind. But one of these real estate tycoons, they did a conference in Hartford, and they were talking about, it was like an investors conference, and they were like, oh, you can do wholesaling, and they make it sound so easy. It's follow our step, and we guarantee you'll get
X amount or this or that. You know what I mean?
And like they have all the steps and stuff, and yes, it might work, but like I feel like our area is so different that it's like you have to kind of just like navigate it differently,
right?
And you don't really know that until you're here. I feel like,
right. Well, I'm gonna age myself with you two in the room. So Tom Ferry, right? For me, it was Tom Hopkins, and a gentleman named Zig Ziglar.
Yep,
and
Zig Ziglar.
Seen them both in person.
Wow.
Tom Hopkins, when I was a relatively new agent, and the big thing about them though is it wasn't about real estate specifically. It was just sales in general, and how to connect with people and how to how to get yourself out there, how to dress, how to drive, just every little thing that you do and how people are sort of paying attention and how to make a good first impression. And so of all the trainings and everything I've done, those have definitely been the two, the Tom Hopkins and the Zig Ziglar, huge help in my career.
You feel like that was the pillars of creating what you are today and how you do your business today. Would you agree?
100%. Yeah, 100% started the foundation, and then just kind of, for me, I'm a big believer in like, everyone's a master in their industry. Like when, Shannon's taking photos at houses I'm selling, who am I to say, even though I do that, designer control freak, but really, who am I to say like, well, do it this way or do it that way, or why not this shutter speed, or you know what I mean? And so, I'm always open to learning and feedback and training. I don't think anybody ever learns everything ever. But then I think you have to make it your own, and you have to sort of build off of it, you know. Tom Hopkins specifically, I remember he told a really great story, which was, you know, someone hired him for like individual coaching, and the guy said that his career had taken off, and then all of a sudden it tanked, and he was wondering why. And well, what happened was, as he got successful, he bought the expensive car, and he wore suits all the time, and yada yada. But he covered an area that was all farms, and so, you know, Tom was just telling the story that basically, good for him that he's successful, but he sort of like, you know, no longer had a connection to the people in the area. You know, so that's just something that was when I was a brand new agent, I heard that story, and it just made so much sense, you know. So definitely things like that, you sort of carry your whole career now.
Man, that's good. Yeah. For people watching, I didn't exactly say what you do. Steve is an owner broker of ERA Leplante in South Hadley.
That's right.
So he has a lot of experience in the ownership side of you know, entrepreneurship, but as an active agent, because you sell still
a little bit here and there. Yeah. So I think, like, you know, I really do two things. I 100% still sell houses, love doing that. That's definitely my passion. I actually started selling at 18 years old.
Nice.
Back in the 90s and 1990s, not 1890s. And so, but yeah, no, it's when I started, I was 18 years old, right out of high school. My mom owned the company, so, you know, I had an amazing opportunity, right? And at the time, there wasn't really a lot of younger sort of people in the business, but, you know, a lot of help from my mom. She was a huge help. Sort of grew the business. Now I love seeing a lot of the younger people are getting in, which is amazing, you know, really a good thing. But so really my two roles are I sell houses still, and I own and run the company. And it's just, you know, sort of helping other agents with their careers and you know, mentoring and all that good stuff. So
you started at 18, you said, right?
18.
How can you compare real estate then, when you're 18 to now? There's so many advances in technology. And
to now? Oh, I still remember my beeper number. So, you know, it's, wow, what a great question. So it just evolves. Like, I don't think there's like major things that happen. I mean, literally the biggest thing that happened since I started in the business was email. You know, and so like,
that's so big.
Yeah, isn't that huge. Funny, right?
Yeah.
I'd asked my mom once, I said, she had been a realtor since 1972. And I asked her once, like, what was the biggest innovation or the biggest thing that, you know, changed the industry? And for her, it was the fax machine.
Wow.
You know, so for me, when I first got in, they didn't have cell phones. Like, not everyone had cell phones yet. Not everyone had email yet. You know, so those were huge changes that literally, you know, the entire industry sort of like readjusted around them. Convenience and everything. But for me, it's, you know, a lot of the fundamentals and everything are still the same. There's laws that change and all that. So, you know, we keep up on all that stuff. For the most part, you know, real estate is still the same. Connections with clients and taking care of the clients. So,
man, I think that's big. One thing that I appreciate that you do well, and I think it's crucial for any real estate professional. You know how to like balance everything well. Like when I show up to you know, to take pictures of one of your listings, you're kind of balancing. You have your relationship with the photographer, you have the relationship with the, you know, with the seller. Sometimes some sellers are like high strung. Sometimes the photographer can be high strung. Sometimes there's a lot of like ups and downs, and the way you can manage that is exceptional. Because I'm not gonna say it, but there's something that, well, I guess I am.
Yeah,
I guess I am.
Like you're saying
I guess I am gonna say it. Well, no, some agents they kind of let their sellers or clients kind of run the show, which I don't necessarily agree with. But there's got to be some kind of like some direction from the real estate agent or from the whoever's serving the client. It's got to be some direction, some guidance, and I think you do that very well.
Yeah, thank you. For me, it's and I'm glad you noticed. A lot of people sort of perceive it as being a control freak, and I guess on some levels it is, and I think it makes you good in a lot of areas.
You kind of have to be
a little bit,
yeah.
You know? But for me, it's all about communication. So, like, for example, before you get there for the photo shoot, I've already had a very lengthy conversation with them about how to get the house ready, what to expect when you get there, and I manage expectations in that I sort of tell them what I want them to do. If Shannon's on the first floor, we're going to be on the second floor. when he gets to the second floor, we're going to the first floor, or go outside, or so it's like, because I know a lot of people, like they're interested, they're curious, they want to be involved.
Especially when I take the drone out, they're like, oh, I want to see that.
Everybody, right? Everybody. So, but so I know that they want to be there and be involved. I don't want to tell them all together, like, get out of your own house, but I also do want to be mindful and respectful of other professionals, that are involved.
So you're constantly managing your clients' expectations and kind of navigating, like, hey, be prepared for X, Y, and Z, rather than like it happens and you're like trying to solve the problem as you go. So you've been doing this for a really long time and navigating the real estate waters and all that fun stuff. I'm sure you've had like interesting situations where you're learning how to navigate different things that come up, like failure, right? Failure, for instance. What have you done and what have you learned from your failures and those different opportunities?
Wow, this is great. So, well, first of all, let's not skip over that you said a really long time. So is that a nice way of calling me old?
No,
you're not old. You're just a seasoned veteran.
Yeah. So, so failure to me is an opportunity, right? And I think, I see that the number one thing, and this isn't just for real estate, this is a lot of different businesses. It can be so broad, but the biggest thing that I see as far as failure in real estate is that just the agents don't give it enough time. The new agents, they don't put in the hours, they don't give it enough time. They sort of, oh, it's not working, I give up, kind of thing. And who knows how great they could have been, right?
Yeah.
So for me, when I first got in, I think the fear of rejection is probably like a new agent's, the person in the mirror is their biggest adversary in the beginning, right? So for me, when I got in, I just remembered thinking of it like a batting average in baseball. I'm going to suck and I'll probably screw up 100 times before I get a yes. And so I just can't wait to get through those first 100 no's to get to that first yes. And then on my second 100, I hope instead of one yes, I hope it's 10 yeses, and then I hope it's 20 yeses, and a good. I'm big on PMA, positive mental attitude, and a big thing is no one's 100% ever. No one ever in a million years. So you take those failures. What could I have done different? What could I have done better? Let's try not to have them happen again. To have the best batting average that I can have, and I think I've gotten to a place where hey, if things don't go my way, I go after a listing and the person decides to work with another realtor, you can't let it get you down. You just got to, let's go out and get two more to make up for it. You know what I mean?
That's good. You said PMA?
Positive mental attitude. I'm big on that.
I'm huge on that.
Yeah, huge.
But I like the acronym. I'm going to use it now.
Yeah.
PMA, baby.
Yeah. PMA and DMA. My favorite two.
What's DMA?
Decision-making adult. So when you work in a business, you got to make sure you're dealing with the decision-making adult.
Yes.
You know what I mean? In my house, that is my wife. Hi, honey. Love you.
Very true.
That's huge. I wanna go back a little bit.
Sure.
You mentioned that the biggest advancement for you has been like email, how big it was. Now 2023, we have different advancements. Some agents are doing photo, video. Some agents still aren't doing video, which is crazy in this day and age, the way social media works. But now we have things like ChatGPT that's showing up. Talk a little bit about how kind of as a broker, how do you kind of, how do I say this? How do you teach your agents to embrace the technology that's coming in and the tools that are coming in?
Okay. That's a great question. So, so like when you're saying I'm good at managing a lot of things, well, probably one of the biggest things that I learned was to align yourself with people that are good at what they do, right? And so in my office, I have someone who, my wife Maria actually just handles all of our social media. I have another admin, Kristen, who basically runs the day-to-day of the office. And so for me, the big thing is, knowing what people's strengths are and then just allowing them to shine at what their strengths are. Mm-hmm. And so, I don't do everything for the agents. There's sort of a team of people that do things for the agents. When new things come out, of course, we try to introduce them. So I would say two things to that. I would say one is, as new things come out, we do try to electronic signing when that came out. And I was probably a little behind the times. We really just started doing it a few years ago. That's been a game changer.
Like DocuSign?
DocuSign. I mean, that is like nuts. But like you're saying, not everybody uses it. I can't force everyone to use it, but certainly anyone that's interested, we help them out with it, or we do it for them, whatever. And I think the other thing is other professionals, like you, for example. If anyone comes to me and they say, hey, I've been doing cell phone photos, it's really not cutting it, or I'm getting this really nice house and I want to do a great job and I want to make a great first impression. Well, then, not much for me to do. Just say, make the introduction and then hope that relationship that you make or that connection that you make sticks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is part of it is introducing them to things or introducing them to people and hoping they see the value in those things. Yeah.
Nice. You mentioned COVID.
Yes.
Let's talk about it.
Oh boy.
The COVID real estate market was insane.
It's still happening.
Yeah, it's kind of like this is like the residual of like, it's not as crazy as it was. Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
I think so.
In the peak of COVID, I remember people were accepting offers without inspections. And is that still happening?
Low,
But that's still happening.
Is it still happening?
Totally still happening.
Oh
So, I'm going to blame the photographer because the good photos and the good video, they get all these bidding wars going. But yeah, I mean, I'm selling a house right now, over 100,000 over asking.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just closed on one that was about almost 70 over. I've got one going that's 80 over. You just photographed the house in Palmer.
Yeah.
We had a bidding war there. So all the offers were over ask. And that one, the accepted offer, the buyer waived the inspection. So that's totally all that's still going on.
Wow.
Maybe we're not seeing like 20, 30 offers on every house like we were, but still bidding wars, still over asking, and a lot of the contingencies getting removed.
Are there like cash buyers, or they have a mortgage contingency?
Yeah, this is pretty sick. So it's a great question. I read lots of stuff online and but one interesting thing that really popped out at me was pre-COVID, it was like less than 10% of sales were cash sales. And they're saying now it's pushing closer to 40%. Wow. I had on a lot of the higher end deals, we'll see a lot of cash. But I sold a house for over $600,000 in South Hadley. We had 8 offers, 3 were cash. I mean, that's right. That's nuts.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts. So, a lot of money in the market. Yeah.
If you didn't know, Zach's he's a mortgage lender. So he's in the industry. That's why he asked that question about cash buyers and all that stuff.
Oh, no.
That was very technical, wasn't it?
Yes. I'm like, this guy's getting information.
Don't pay cash, get a mortgage. Was
that
the right?
That was perfect plug.
Did that go well?
Just say it again one more time.
And call Zach. Okay.
That's funny.
No, but that market was crazy. Can you talk a little bit about maybe some trends or anything that kind of took off during 2020, like the COVID peak era that kind of hasn't dwindled? Like, for example, for me, Zoom meetings.
Oh my gosh.
Pre-COVID, like if I told someone, hey, do you want to Zoom? They're like,
right.
Let's meet in person.
Let's meet in person.
Yeah, right.
The fact that like COVID happened, everyone's like Zoom first. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Because it's so like when it comes like time consuming, like driving to an appointment, like I get like meeting with someone in person is a different, but like depending on the meeting, a lot of meetings can just be a phone call or it can be a Zoom, and Zoom has been amazing for me. Can you talk maybe like some trends that kind of took off during COVID that are still here and booming?
Yes, I'm convinced Zoom is behind COVID.
The company.
No, I'm kidding. Just kidding. That's great.
Zoom and Purell.
Yeah. Seriously.
And big toilet paper company.
Well, maybe not Purell because they would have had more of a supply ready to go. Remember at the beginning, you can find it anywhere.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because I think there's so many things that have changed since COVID. So I'm just going to say one, right? Because I mean, I could do a whole day just talking about the changes that I've seen. For me, it's relocation. So a funny thing is like so many jobs went remote, and then I think the businesses realized like, oh wow, we're saving money, right? So I even noticed that in my company. We have a great office, centrally located. The agents are welcome to come anytime. And so obviously when the agents are in the office, they're drinking coffee, using water, using the microwave, whatever, using paper, using toner. they don't really come in. During COVID, they got set up with a really nice home office, and now that's, probably more comfortable for them. So I've noticed like my expenses are down, and I think a lot of businesses sort of experience that. So as our clients realize that their jobs are now going to be remote, a lot of people just said, hey, I'm going to sell my house in Massachusetts. I'm going to move south, but I'm going to get to keep my Massachusetts salary where, housing might be more affordable. So one story in particular I can think of, I sold like a 2,000 square foot house in Belchertown for over $400,000. The people, worked remotely here in Mass, moved to, I think it was South Carolina, and they built a brand new 3,000 square foot house for like $300,000, and the taxes were like $2,500 a year.
Cheat code.
Right, yeah, exactly. So same salary here. So that is one thing that I have noticed both during and even still to today. A lot more relocation, people in and out than I had seen previously.
Yeah, but a buddy of mine, actually two friends of mine, they kind of swapped. A friend of mine moved from Florida to Massachusetts. And they have remote jobs, and then
yeah,
they're originally from here.
Oh.
They went to Florida. They lived there for 8 years, came back. But then I have a friend now that's moving from here to Florida, and he just relocated his job. Keeps his Massachusetts salary. I'm like, that's not a bad gig, because then in Florida they don't charge you income tax.
That's right.
So I'm like, that's kind of like a raise.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Well, I think for some people, like that's sort of, their goal all along. Someday, I'm going to work. Someday I'm going to retire, and then I'm going to move south. And I think with this remote work thing, I think it's made it where like people can just sort of get there sooner than they expect. And why wouldn't you if that's ultimately the goal?
I'll tell you what, man. If I had a remote job, I don't know if I would be successful in it. Like,
why? Why do you think that?
Just like a remote job working with someone. I don't know. Like I think now
you don't think you'd be productive?
Yeah. Now, like I have a self-employed mindset. Like it's like
spoiled.
I'm spoiled. Because technically I work from home now, but like it's my business. Like if I don't do it, like it's on me. Like I got to get it done.
That's right.
If I'm working like for Health New England and I just have to write reports, if I'm working from home, oh my goodness.
Honestly, like the whole remote thing is cool in theory. Like it sounds fun, but I'm all about community and like the office environment. So I need that. Like I thrive in that environment where like I'm able to say, hey, go to the next door to like another loan officer. Hey, I have this deal. Can you like talk me through it rather than calling them? You know what I mean? Like I like that collaborative environment. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I don't think I'm remote.
Yeah, sometimes you need that collaborative environment. That's, I guess, technically that's kind of what I'm missing now. So there's some other creatives that we get on like not a Zoom, it's like a Discord that we just talk. We just to like hear someone. Let's say I'm editing all day, like on a Wednesday. I'm just home for 8 hours. It's just quiet.
Yeah.
So sometimes we'll get on and we'll just, talk for like 30 minutes, just whatever, like our lunch break, and then like, all right, gotta get back to work.
Because after a while, music just kind of gets repetitive, and like you're like, I just need something else.
Yeah, so it's either you go from music to podcasts, and then like maybe I'll put on a show like on my third monitor and kind of like hear it, but then other than that, I can literally go all day without talking to somebody.
That's
like
tough.
if I'm like in an editing break, I can wake up in the morning, like all right, no appointments today, so I'm just gonna edit all day. I can sit in front of my computer, just next thing you know,
tough, man.
It's 3 o'clock. It's 3 o'clock. Someone calls me, and I'm like, "Hello." It's like my first time speaking to someone. It's wild.
Yeah. One of the best things that I think I've done professionally is I'm actually heavily involved with the Chamber of Commerce. It's the South Hadley and Granby Chamber of Commerce. And what's kind of cool is I'm on the board of directors, and it's like the CEO of a school, and it's business owners and a lot of high level people, could even small business owners, so it's sort of a nice grouping of people. But what's really cool is not just, what we do being involved in the chamber, but just hearing like what's working at their business or what's not working at their business, and, changes they've made coming out of COVID or ways that they've saved money, yada, yada, and it's really nice to, talk with other people like sort of in the same position that you are, and just seeing what's working, not working, ideas, bouncing things off of them, so
that collaborative approach.
Yeah, but sitting alone all day, I couldn't do that.
Yeah,
it could take a toll on you. It could take a toll on you.
I can't do that.
You mentioned the chamber. Talk a little bit about your thoughts on like that type of networking. I know I've met agents that that say, "Oh, I don't network, I don't need to," or not being arrogant. Some people's like, I just don't need to network.
Yeah.
Like, what are your thoughts on networking and like the continuous learning of like being with other individuals?
Yeah, so I'm like, I always joke and I say I have super high anxiety, so it's good because I always need to be like busy. Like I can't just sit still. The chamber for me is amazing. I think where, something that happens is like people will go to 1 or 2 chamber events and they go, oh, I didn't get anything. It wasn't worth my time. Well, I had to go for 6 months before like one person even remembered my first name, So it is, for me, it's like a long play. It wasn't, I didn't expect to go to one thing and big things happen. But I also knew that, it's awesome because you're giving back. We're all volunteers. The money that our chamber raises, we donate to, we do high school scholarships. We donate to the Council on Aging in both South Hadley and Granby, and we donate to food pantries. So, it's 100% giving back.
Yeah.
The networking part I love, I think what helps is that I'm generally interested to learn about other businesses and what they do and, what do they need? What struggles do they have? So for me, it's just great to sort of like interact and talk to everybody. And I think what does happen is over time you build relationships out of it. And I think it helps you if you're, nervous to speak to new crowds of people. Well, if you go to enough events, that'll go away. I speak at a lot of these events. Probably before this, I was nervous to public speak. Not true. But I think it helps with public speaking. And so all that I'm saying is that the networking is absolutely amazing, but it's just, there's so many layers to, I honestly think being a part of the chamber has made me better at business, even a better person. So there's just so much. And the connections are amazing. The connections are amazing.
I have a 2-part question for you.
Oh, boy.
And then we're going to do a little fun segment afterwards. So
One segment.
The first question, where do you see the real estate industry going in the next 3 to 5 years? That's question 1. And then 2, where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? Whether it be,
That's a good question.
whatever it is.
Right. Let me first start by saying I tried to get all of these questions sent to me ahead of time, and they were not sent to me ahead of time.
No, it's
I know.
We're doing it live.
When I get interviewed on TV, they do the same thing. I'm always like, "Tell me what it's about," and I get the most vague answer. And I'm like, "Oh,
We gave you nothing though.
no, literally, literally." No. These are really good questions. So, I think. Let me say this. I've always said this my entire career, and this was something that my mom used to say as well. Real estate transactions are not always easy. There's a lot to it. There's the financing side, the legal side, negotiations. If real estate was easy, we wouldn't have a job, right? So I think the biggest changes that we'll probably see in the next 3 to 5 years, because I think the role of a real estate agent is going to be very, important for a long time. I think people need that advisor, that consultant, that, person to sort of walk them through the process and get them to the finish line. I think where the changes are going to be is going to be more along the lines of like technology. And I think things are just getting like easier and easier and easier. And so let's talk about all these relocation buyers we talked about earlier, right? One of the biggest changes since COVID, I'm selling a house right now to someone from Tennessee that never saw the house in person until part of the way through the process.
Wow.
I sold a house during COVID in 21. I sold a house in Granby to a California couple that never saw the house until after the closing.
Wow. And
because everything is, they can see the videos online, and I think that's a huge help. When I first got into real estate, our MLS could have one exterior photo.
Wow.
That was it. And so, think about it. So to go from one exterior photo, then I think it was 6. And then it went from 6 to whatever it was, 30. And now it's 42. So even the number of photos in the MLS, I think, is a huge help. And I think people today, like, they're used to it and they don't realize. But then, hey, what happens in the next 3 to 5 years? Well, I'm sure our MLS will... you can attach a video now to MLS, but it's not in like the photo gallery. So I'm hoping that someday, like for example, an adaptation or an evolvement would be that now you can put videos instead of just 42 photos. It could be a combination of photos and videos. So I think technology just makes things easier. We can walk people through houses using our cell phone. We shoot a video. either shoot a video or do a live stream with them. So it's just going to be things like that. It's just going to be things. I think another thing is Massachusetts. I think Zach said that before. Massachusetts like 10 years behind and everything. a lot of attorneys, still want to do everything by check only. Just checks, and clients are like, huh? So, I think even things like that in the next 3 to 5 years, I think you'll see a lot more like, wire transfers become the norm, or like right now there's something called Deposit Link, not to give anyone a plug, but a lot of the real estate companies are using it. I just told my admin yesterday to look into it. But during COVID, right, the mail, you ever have trouble like you mail something to someone, they never got it, right? So if companies or clients are mailing checks around, there's just more of a chance that it gets lost. So this Deposit Link is great. When a buyer has to give a deposit, you shoot them an email, it's got a link, they fill out something real quick, and they can transfer the money instead of dealing with checks. So like I said, now instead of a check and you got to wait for it, you either got to drive it or you got to mail it, and and what if it gets lost, and now you get to a 30-second click on a link kind of a thing. So I just think in the next 3 to 5 years, I think technology, for me in the next 3 to 5 years, I'm someone, it's really funny. I'm just kind of like a live in the moment kind of a thing. I don't have like wild goals down the road. I think I'm past the 50-yard line in my career. I'd like to think, I'm just all about making sure the company's doing well, the agents are happy, my clients are happy, and I don't really think too far in the future. But whatever changes come in the industry, I think the thing about me is I am open to whatever changes are coming in real estate, and I'm excited for change, and that's about it. But I don't know what you were expecting me to say.
Hey, no,
that's fair.
I was expecting you to say
love
exactly
that. I love
what you
the
said.
fact that you're willing to adapt to what's going on,
100%.
AI, technology, all that fun stuff. Because sometimes people aren't. They're like, no, I want to stay in the Stone Ages.
Some people are stuck in their ways,
Like,
and there's no telling them any different.
Especially with millennials, right, or Gen Z. Like, we're so technology is everything, right? We just.
So which one are you, millennial or Gen Z?
I'm a millennial.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
He just made it.
Right on the line, though,
90,
right? Yeah,
94. 94. Come on.
like
Right
there.
right on the cusp.
Yeah, there are some people, and not just to real estate. I mean, this could be everywhere.
Yeah.
But like, there are some realtors that don't text. You know what I mean? Like, I can see not getting into some of the other stuff, like diving deep into social media or whatnot, but like to not even text in 2023.
But even social media, though, Steve, like, it's so important. Like, right now,
Yes.
I'm all about videos and reels and all that stuff. And though it's not like getting me business right away, but the fact that the branding is there, and
That's right.
the fact that you're putting out content, it's so important now.
Here's an exercise I like to do with new agents. You ready? So both of you, same time. Just the first word that comes to your mind when I say toothpaste.
Toothbrush.
Wow, I just went blank. Toothbrush.
Okay. Well,
I cheated there.
fast food.
McDonald's.
Okay, so that works. So you see what happened right there? You could have said cheeseburger, you could have said French fries, but you said a brand.
Yeah.
And so that really what
Oh, I'm using that. That's great.
That's
I'm
using that. I'm using
great.
that.
But that's true, and that's what social media is. So if I get new agents that are kind of like, I don't really do social media, I don't really want to do social media. I like to do that is just that rapid fire. The majority of the answers they'll give will be brands and not associative words, right? And part of why I do that is from my own experience. When I was 28 years old, you know how I had a prospect? I used to sit at the office until like 11 or midnight and just fill out postcards. And
wow.
We not everybody had email back then, and so we couldn't even do like email newsletters because it wouldn't reach the masses. So everything was stuffing envelopes and mailing.
Snail mail.
So what I love about social media is that you can do a post for free from the comfort of your own home, on your cell phone, on your iPad, whatever, and have that audience and keep that top of mind recognition going.
Exactly.
This is the For the Win segment. You're going to answer the first one that comes to mind. I'm going to ask you 10 of them. Work or play?
Work.
Love or friendship?
Love.
Money or happiness?
Happiness.
Cats or dogs?
Ooh, I love both, but cats.
Cats? I wasn't expecting that.
No.
Yeah. Wait, can I say why though?
Yeah.
With my schedule, there's no way I could have a dog.
Summer or winter?
Winter.
Really?
100%. Yeah.
Nice.
Love the winter.
Morning or evening?
Morning.
Salty or sweet?
Oh, sweet. Listen. Oh, I have such a sweet tooth.
Do you watch shows one episode at a time, or do you binge watch the whole season?
Yeah, binge.
That's the right way to do it. Do you shower at night or in the morning, or both?
Morning.
All right. Would you rather fly or have super strength? It's a hard hitting question right there.
Fly.
I think I would fly too.
Fly, yeah.
No traffic.
A car,
I'm in there.
strength.
No traffic. I hate traffic. And then the last question. Your favorite band of all time, if you have one.
I'm gonna age myself again. Motley Crue.
Nice. I love it. Well, Steve, thank you for coming on and giving us some great insight. Lastly, how can people reach out to you? How can they get a hold of you if they want to sell their house?
Oh, so probably the best thing to do is either myself or any one of the agents is go to ERALeplante.com. So ERALaplante, or call our office 413-536-9111.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Steve. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, gentlemen.